Personally, I'm built different. God endowed me with just the right amount of sociopathy and schizophrenia to make it so that I'm immune to the crushing effects of loneliness. Nothing crazy, just enough to make it so that I don't require human connection, and that if I ever want any, I can get my fix by talking to a camera. I'm really in the sweet spot. So long as I don't drink an entire bottle of whiskey and spend hours watching schizophrenic doomer edits on YouTube, imagining an alternate universe where I have an active social life and a girlfriend who loves me, I don't really get lonely. But the same can't be said for most of you unfortunate bastards out there. After all, somebody has to make the schizophrenic Ryan Gosling doomer edits that I love so much, and I commend you for that, whoever you people are. But there is a trend on the internet that I find particularly pathetic, which exists parallel to Ryan Gosling and the Sigma-verse. I like to call it loneliness masturbation. These are the people who watch the Sigma male edits on YouTube and miss the point entirely. They come away with the wrong message. You see, rather than letting the spirit of Ryan Gosling and Christian Bale into their hearts and help guide them throughout the world like the Holy Spirit, because that's what you're supposed to do, right? Let them give you strength. These people see the schizophrenic doomer edits as a way to justify their lonely, pathetic lives. You know, they watch the videos, shake their fists at the world, and blame society for their inability to get bitches. This is not the point of Gosling-core and the Sigma-verse. These videos are supposed to imbue you with stoicism and a melancholic sense of hopefulness, not serve as some weird proof that it's not your fault that you're a lonely, holeless loser. No, it's because of internet culture and the whorish nature of women. You people need to go outside, and that's coming from me. Also, you need to do yourself a favor and read the book Notes from the Underground by Fyodor Dostoy Diddlyfuck, or whatever his name is. It will help you realize just how retarded your autistic and rational view of the world is, if that's the type of person you are. This guy was writing about autistic loners in the 1860s. He was truly a visionary ahead of his time. And when I read this book, it was like getting slapped in the face, man. Because I used to think a lot like the main guy from the story, you know, until I finished reading it and realized just how retarded his way of viewing the world is. Reading this book, as well as getting absolutely zoinked on mushrooms, is basically what stopped me from turning into the doomer Wojak. If you're struggling with being an autistic loser, constantly living in your head, I definitely recommend you read it. You read the book. So I'm going to put it in the description. It's a free link. There is a saying that goes, misery loves company.
And we'll all jerk off in a circle jerk.
And the internet has only made that all the more true. You see, back in the day, if you were an autistic loser, right, a loner, you still had to go outside and actually engage with the normies, as it were. Sure, you might have preferred to stay inside and read books or become hyperfixated on some autistic topic that nobody gives a shit about. But that type of social atomization had absolutely nothing on how it is now, alright? The internet has changed things. You see, back in the day, right, if you had some sort of strange niche interest that you were really, really passionate about, right? Dragonfly collecting, for instance. Then you would have to actually physically stand up, leave your house, and go attend the science bug function, or whatever the fuck, that came to town twice a year, if you ever wanted to talk to anyone about your little weird thing that you liked. This had two effects on society. First of all, it made it so that your niche interest could only be a certain level of degenerate, because you actually had to go out in public and talk to strangers in person about whatever your little thing was, right? It was a lot harder to form a community around something that was degenerate, you know? It turns out it's really hard to get people to come out in public and talk about their love of furry inflation porn. So there was a lot less degeneracy back in the day. But it was also a lot more difficult to be lonely, right? Because even social outliers, let's say, even they were forced to go out in public and actually talk to other human beings, meet people and feel some skin on skin. Most people had their tribe, so to speak, in real life, like actual people. You know that perfect sweet girl who loves you and isn't a whore and actually cares about you that every Ryan Gosling inspired Sigma male is longing for in his heart? She used to exist. And do you know how people used to find her? By going to the bug function, by talking to people like that, by having one of your slightly less autistic friends introduce you to her. Because guess what, man? She liked dragonflies just as much as you. That's why she was at the dragonfly function. And she gets your niche sense of humor, and you find her pretty because the internet hasn't made everyone think that beauty is a purely external thing that you can just paint onto your face. People used to be less lonely because they actually had places to go to and talk to people, right? Nowadays those places are internet chat boards, right? Infested with loser, degenerate Redditors. And the internet can do a lot of things, but the one thing it can't do is train you not to be socially retarded. It actually has the opposite effect, I've found. If you actually want to fix your social retardation, you have to go out in public and talk to people, which brings me to my next point, right? Curing loneliness. How do you cure loneliness? Well, there's three main ways. Actually, there's only three ways. The first of which I like to call taking the initiative, right? Going back to school, getting a job, getting a better job, brushing your hair, putting on a proper shirt, that type of stuff. After you've done that, and this is the key part, right? After you've done those things, or even a few of them, you actually have to talk to other people in person. I know, it seems crazy, but talking to strangers, other sentient beings in person, is actually one of the best ways to reduce loneliness. And I don't mean talking to people like trying to make them your friends. I just mean being what would have been standard 100 years ago and knowing how to converse. You're not trying to make someone your friend or get something out of them, playing any little games or anything like that. You just want to be actually pay attention and be interested in conversation. Listen to what they're saying. You know, not everyone is going to be interesting, and there are going to be a lot of assholes. But, you know, if you pay attention to the warning signs, like dyed hair, for example. Dyed hair is a prime example of someone who's going to be uninteresting and probably a bit of a cunt. Pay attention to the warning signs, avoid those people, and eventually it becomes easy to socialize. At least that's what happened with me, right? You just got to learn to stop caring so much, learn to stop thinking. Act more on instinct rather than living in your head. You know, just make sure too much of that autism doesn't come pouring out, right?
It seems we both got autism, haven't we?
You don't want spaghetti falling out of your pockets and all that. Right, now this is a great way to be less lonely, you know, actually going out in the world and talking to people and engaging with the public. But it's not my favorite way. My favorite way is to just accept it. This is the most effective way to stop being lonely because you don't have to put in any effort. This is why I like it so much. Just accepting that loneliness is a part of the human experience and letting it wash over you like water.
Let the dirt just shower over you.
Without fetishizing it or wallowing in self-pity. That's the best way to do it. But you can't wallow in self-pity, because if you do that, I mean, it's just going to make your loneliness worse. It's going to make everything worse. Nobody likes a crybaby little piss goblin, except for other crybaby little piss goblins. And they're all on Reddit asking each other how they should stop being lonely, rather than just choosing to not be lonely. You don't want to be one of those people. You just want to accept that loneliness is an inevitable part of being human. It's like there's a giant weight lifted off of your shoulders. And once that happens, another strange thing happens that's pretty ironic, is that you become more likable because you're not constantly clawing at everyone, desperate to be loved or whatever, right? It's really truly pathetic. If you ever meet people who are desperate for human contact and don't know how to do it at all, it's jarring. It's jarring and it's very off-putting. I mean, it's bad. But once you're cool with it, once you understand that, you know, you're probably going to be alone forever and there's nothing you can do about it, you become more likable and people want to be around you more often. Simply learn to stop caring and love the bomb. That's the best way. This is the true essence of Ryan Gosling's Sigma male edits, okay? He's not a crybaby piss goblin. He's very hopeful and he just kind of accepts that he's a lonely guy and that nothing's ever going to change. Blade Runner, Drive, he's never really sad about it. He just kind of accepts it, right? That's what you want to do if you want to be a true Sigma male. That's why I said in the beginning that I don't require human contact. I was being a little bit hyperbolic. But the point is there. And then, of course, you have the third, final, and also worst way to stop being lonely is just straight up kill yourself. Just do it, man. But suicide is incredibly selfish and for pussies. So I would not recommend it, all right? You don't want to die. It sucks, I've heard. Go outside and smell the roses, man. Develop an interest in dragonfly collecting and learn to be alone. It's really not that bad. Social interaction is pretty overrated anyway.